Good morning, everyone. Hey, it's a 2015 Ram 3500, and I'm going to be replacing that Nox sensor right there. I had a U059E code, says it lost communication. About 2 years ago, I replaced that sensor. I bought the Dorman sensor off of Rock Auto. Anyway, about a year ago, it failed, and I sent it in to them for the warranty because it's got a lifetime replacement. Well, this time it has failed again, and they don't want to swap it out again. So they're going to give me in-store credit for the next 5 years, which is about $500, which I don't need that. But anyway, just beware. Me personally, I'll no longer buy electronic stuff from Rock Auto. But I found one on Amazon. It's supposed to be a Cummins reman for about $200. I'm gonna try it, see what we come up with. But first thing we're gonna need to do is disconnect the two batteries and take this battery out on the passenger side, take the air box out. I'm gonna take it loose there at the turbo. And then, of course, I'm gonna pull the wheel and tire and then pull the inner fender so that I can get right back there in that corner and take that Nox sensor out. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started on this. It's relatively simple. You see that blue tube there, that hose clamp, it's gonna have to come off. And then down there at the turbo, yeah. Anyway, that's an 8mm clamp on the turbo there. And then this clamp's 8mm. And then I'm not sure what that bolt is, but that'll let me break the box and the tube loose, and then we'll of course have to disconnect the two sensors there on the air box. But anyway, let me go ahead and get that stuff out the way, get this thing jacked up and get the wheel off, and we'll get started taking that sensor out. Hey, I just wanted to give you a quick tool here. It helps fit, well, it fits them little spring clamps. Man, I tell you what, it's handier than a pocket on a shirt. Getting down into them little spots like that to loosen up them little spring clamps. I got that one at O'Reilly's. Wasn't very much, $15, $20. But man, it sure helps with little jobs like that, instead of trying to get a pair of pliers in there and get them little spring clamps off. But anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd show you that right quick, in case you've never seen them. I hadn't. I happened to be in a shop one day and I seen an old boy using them, and of course his were Snap-on, high dollar, but I found these at O'Reilly. And they work wonders for these little bitty clamps. Now the bigger clamps on your radiator, yeah, they're not too good for that. But anyway, just thought I'd throw that in there. All right, well, we got the inner fender out, and I got a crowfoot on that Nox sensor with a 3/8 ratchet with an adapter to a 1/2-inch drive for the crowfoot. It's a 22mm crowfoot. It fits it really well, and just a little old cheater pipe to help break it loose. And now it'll just be a matter of taking that crow foot off, putting it back on, moving it around. It is loose, but as you can see, that crow foot's hitting that little bitty tiny screw right there that's holding that heat shield on. So it'll need to be relocated. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get this out. Sometimes this whole assembly of the sensor will be corroded up and want to turn with you when you're turning it, in which case you will have to go ahead and undo your electrical connection on the other end first. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get this out, and then we'll work on getting the electrical connection undone and checking voltages and resistance and that sort of thing. Now, one thing I did want to let you know is I'm not just sitting on that jack. I do have a jack stand under the axle. As heavy as these trucks are, yes, you definitely want some good support under it. But anyway, just if you're going to tackle this job, be safe about it. I'd sure hate to see your truck fall on you and crush a leg or a hand or something. Just be careful. These trucks are heavy. All right, back to taking this apart. Okay, now that it's out, you can see there's no real buildup on the sensor itself. The holes are not, they don't appear to be plugged up. I mean, if you wanted to save some money, you possibly could clean this and put it back in. I know some guys have done that on YouTube. Me, if I'm going to all this trouble to get it out, I'm going to replace it myself. But anyway, let's move on to getting the electrical stuff undone. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my oil filter off, because I don't know if you can see it, but right there where that negative battery cable goes down and connects to the block is right where the electrical connection is for the Nox sensor. So I'm gonna pull that oil filter off and get it out the way and give me a little more room in there, because it looks like you got a lot of room in there, but you really don't. So, all right, let's get started. Okay, I got that oil filter loose. Just a matter of getting this thing out now without making a mess. And I'm doing it up top just because I got this air filter box out the way, and it's a little bit easier up here. Trying to be slow with it so I don't drop it and spill oil everywhere. But getting this filter out the way will give you a lot more room to get to them little screws. They're like 8mm. You'll need a deep socket or maybe 2 boxed in wrenches. So we'll get started on that now that the filter's out the way. All right, we got that little screw and nut right there with them 2 rubber insulators. And then the bottom one is the one, that one's going to be easy to get out. But that one on the very bottom, under there, you can just barely, yeah, get a little better light on it. But yeah, that one is going to be a pain to get out. Getting a wrench on this side will be easy, but with the electrical connection right there and that motor mount, that is going to make it very, very difficult to get out. I may have to get the top one out, and if I can get the bottom one loose, I may just have to swing it out of the way a little bit to get to the other one. But we'll see what we do. And then, of course, I'll have to undo that zip tie from the front of the turbo. Yes, it looks like I got a turbo seal leaking there. But that's another project for another day. And truth be told, that oil getting sucked into the exhaust may be an issue too. But anyway, that's a ATS turbo. I bought it through Thoroughbred Diesel. Bought the extended warranty and all. It's been on the truck about a year and really haven't had no issues with it. No turbo codes, no lack of performance or anything like that. But anyway, I do have another video about replacing the turbo. It was back when I took the original turbo off and replaced it with a reman from City Diesel down in Alabama. But anyway, let's get back to this and getting that Nox sensor out. I'm gonna get my wire cutters, cut the zip tie, and get me a couple of 8mm wrenches and an 8mm deep socket. Okay, I got the top bolt out and I got it leaned back a little bit, and I don't have enough room to get the light and the, but anyway, there's the bottom one, and there's just not enough room to get a deep socket and a ratchet in there with that motor mount in the way. So I'm gonna have to get a little boxed in wrench, and then I know you probably can't see it, but the head of the bolt is down there in the bottom, and you can maybe just barely see it right there between that wire and the head of that bolt. Get a ratchet on that and should be able to get it out. And then we'll go to disconnecting and checking our wiring. Okay, you'll see I got that sensor off, and now it's just a matter of getting the engine harness unplugged from it. You'll have a little yellow tab, and that thing just pulls straight out from the side. I use just a little old pocket screwdriver, and it'll, well, anyway, I can't really do it one-handed, but that little plastic, yellow plastic tab just pulls straight up. It won't come all the way out, but it just pulls straight up, and then you can unplug that sensor from it. Okay, when you get that yellow tab pulled straight up like that, it just slides right out of that sensor. So at this point, we'll just start fishing that sensor out, and then we'll get a multimeter and we'll turn the ignition on but not start the truck, and just check our voltages and ground on the main plug and go from there. Okay, I've got the key on. Of course, the engine's not running, as you can see. First thing we're going to do, those bottom two pins right there, we're going to check the voltage on. The battery voltage itself is, well, I'm trying to do all this and hold the phone at the same time. Oh boy. Give me a minute here. I know this ain't gonna be just a real accurate, but 12.82. Okay. So we should have about the same on that plug. And those two bottom plugs there, that one on the bottom left being the ground, and the bottom right being the 12-volt supply. I apologize, I'm trying to do all this and hold the phone. So I guess I could put some jumper wires on these plugs, but anyway, as you can see, we got 12.82 volts there. And then if we move up, we got a 2.46 up in the top right corner. And then the other two should be about the same. Well, so, which is our 5-volt supply. Those two, that's the CAN bus, and that's what communicates with the engine computer. And we got 2.30 there. So tells me our wiring harness is good, but for one more test, set it on the lowest ohm setting and check our leads, and they're good. So we'll check the ground to the battery, and I'm trying to make a connection with the battery, hold the phone, and then hit the ground, and as you can see, it's a 0. So we know our wiring harness is good, and it's just a matter of getting the sensor back in. But I think this time around, I'm gonna reroute my wires. Earlier they were down under the turbo, but I think I'm gonna find a way to route them away from the turbo and hopefully not expose them to so much heat. So anyway, let me get this thing put back together. All right, as you can see, we got the new sensor laying here. This comes with some anti-seize on it, but I'm gonna go back with the silver anti-seize along with whatever they've put on there. This is a reman. It came in a Cummins box, so I'm assuming it's a reman Cummins part. I bought it on Amazon, so I can't swear to what it actually is. And I don't know if you can see that or not in the fine print there, but it's an NGK NS11A 24E09B. Looks like a possible letter D out there, but it says it's NGK, which, anyway, I'm gonna put some anti-seize on it and start putting it back in. I did want to tell you, no matter how much you try, no matter what you do, you're gonna look like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz from using anti-seize. But you definitely want to be careful and not get it down on the sensor itself. And because, you know, when it gets hot, it will melt and run. So, yeah, just be careful getting it on. And as you can see, it gets everywhere. But anyway, let's put it in. Okay, everything's back together. I got the truck up to operating temperature, and I drove it around for a little bit, got it up to operating temperature. But I wanted to show you the scanner. I don't know if you can see, but the intake Nox, which is the one we just replaced, is at what is dropping a little bit there, but it's at what, 23 right now, 24. And then after treatment is at 11, so we're good to go. No check engine light, so we're good to go. If you have any questions or comments, you know, feel free to leave them. If you would, hit that like button and subscribe button. And if there's anything I can do for you, just let me know. I'll try and guide you through whatever I can. All right, take care. Thanks for watching.